Luke never thought his life would change on a quiet night like this. He had put his daughter Mia to bed, made himself a cup of coffee, and stepped out on the porch to watch the meteor shower that the news had been talking about all week. The night sky was filled with streaks of light, some bright and fast, others slow and glowing. It was peaceful, almost magical. Then, one streak looked different. It wasn't fading like the others. It was getting bigger and louder. Luke's chest tightened as a roaring sound grew in the distance. The glowing streak passed over the hills behind his house and vanished with a heavy thud. The ground trembled under his feet for a moment. He should have called someone. Maybe the police, maybe the news. But curiosity took over. Grabbing a flashlight, Luke walked toward the woods at the back of his property. The air smelled of burned metal, and a faint mist floated near the ground. He moved carefully, heart pounding, until he saw something that made him freeze. It wasn't a rock. It wasn't a plane. It was something else. A small metallic craft lay tilted in a clearing, smoke rising from its sides. Strange symbols glowed faintly along the hull, and in front of it, lying on the grass, was a woman. She wasn't like any woman Luke had ever seen. Her skin had a soft silver tone, her long hair shimmered under the moonlight, and she wore a torn, dark blue suit with strange patterns. She looked hurt, very hurt. Luke knelt beside her. "Hey, can you hear me?" he asked softly. Her eyes opened halfway, revealing deep golden irises. She said something in a language he didn't understand. Her voice was weak, but her tone carried an authority that felt heavy. She tried to push herself up, but collapsed again. Without thinking, Luke slid his arms under her and lifted her. She was lighter than he expected. He glanced at the strange craft. There was no way to hide that. He had to decide quickly. Instead of calling the authorities, he carried her back to his house. When he entered, Mia was standing in the hallway, rubbing her eyes. "Daddy, who's that?" she asked. "Someone who needs our help," Luke whispered. "Go back to bed, sweetheart. I'll explain later." Mia nodded slowly but peeked curiously as Luke carried the woman down to the basement. He laid her on an old couch, covered her with a blanket, and brought some water. She drank only a little, before falling asleep. For hours, Luke sat in a chair staring at her. Questions raced in his mind. Who was she? Where did she come from? Was she dangerous? Would people come looking for her? When morning came, the woman woke again. She looked around, confused, and then focused on Luke. "Serenia," she said, placing a hand on her chest. Luke realized she was telling him her name. "Serenia," he repeated slowly, pointing at himself. "Luke." She seemed to understand. She said something else, but the words were strange, flowing like music. Luke shook his head. "I don't understand." Then, to his surprise, she touched a small device on her wrist. The glow from the symbols shifted, and her next words came in broken English. "Thank you," she said. Her voice was still weak, but clearer now. Luke nodded. "You're hurt. You need to rest." She glanced toward the small basement window. "Danger. Coming. Must hide." The seriousness in her tone made Luke uneasy. "Danger? From who?" She closed her eyes briefly. "My people." "No, not my people. Traitors. They hunt me." She opened her eyes again and looked straight at him. "You help me, Luke. I promise. Protect you." Luke didn't know why, but he believed her. Over the next few days, Luke and Mia took care of Serenia. They brought her food, water, and blankets. Mia spent the most time with her, showing her books, toys, and drawings. Though Serenia didn't smile often, she seemed calmer when Mia was around. One evening, while Mia was telling her a story about school, Serenia reached out and touched Mia's hair gently. "Strong heart," she said softly. Mia beamed at the compliment. Luke began to notice small details, how Serenia always kept her back straight even when tired, how she studied every sound outside the house, how she listened for something only. She could hear, but the peace didn't last long. 3 nights after Serenia arrived, Luke woke to a low hum. He went to the window and saw lights moving in the sky, not like planes, but silent, sharp beams scanning the ground. His stomach tightened. In the basement, Serenia was already standing, her eyes glowing faintly. "They are here," she said. "We must prepare." Luke didn't know what was coming, but one thing was clear. His life, Mia's life, and even this strange woman's life were about to change forever. The night air was still, but Luke could feel a weight pressing on his chest. Outside, the strange lights swept slowly across the tree line, moving with a precision that made him certain they weren't from any plane or helicopter he knew. There was no sound except for that faint, low hum. He hurried back down to the basement. Serenia stood tall, even though her face was pale. She was holding a small device in her hand, its edges glowing faint blue. "Who are they?" Luke asked quietly. "Hunters," she replied, "sent to capture me, or kill me if they cannot." Her voice was steady, but there was a sharpness in her eyes. "They will not leave until they find me." Luke thought of Mia sleeping upstairs and felt his stomach twist. "What do they want with you?" Serenia looked at him for a long moment. "I am Empress of the Valthari Empire," she said slowly. "My throne, taken by force. My enemies sent assassins to all worlds I might escape to. Earth was far, hidden. I thought safe." "Empress," Luke repeated, not sure he believed it, but the way she carried herself made it hard to doubt. "And you think they'll search here?" She nodded once. "They have my scent, my signal. They will find this place soon." Luke ran a hand through his hair, thinking fast. "Then we need to move you somewhere else. Somewhere they won't look." Serenia shook her head. "I am too weak to run far. But there is a way. My ship, not here but hidden in mountains, far from their scanners. It can hide us. It can fight them." Luke frowned. "Your ship? You mean like the little craft you crashed in?" "That was a scout vessel," she said. "My true ship is a warship. Powerful, loyal to me." Those words should have sounded impossible, but after everything he had seen, Luke didn't question them. The low hum outside grew louder. A faint flicker of light moved past the basement window. Serenia stepped closer. "We must leave now. They are scanning houses. When they find mine, they will burn it." Luke felt a cold rush of fear. "Mia," he muttered. Without another word, he ran upstairs and shook his daughter awake. "Honey, get dressed, quick. We're going on a trip." Still half asleep, she blinked at him. "Now? But it's dark." "No. Questions, sweetheart. Just hurry," he said, trying to keep his voice calm. Within minutes, they were at the back door. Serenia had thrown a long, dark coat over herself, the hood hiding her face. Luke grabbed a backpack with some food, water, and a flashlight. They slipped into the woods, moving away from the scanning lights. Every time the glow came near, they froze, hiding behind trees. As they walked, Serenia kept glancing upward, as if she could see through the treetops. "3 hunters," she whispered. "1 near, 2 farther away. We must reach the old road." Mia stayed close to her father, holding his hand tightly. "Are we running from bad guys?" she whispered. "Something like that," Luke answered, softly. After nearly an hour of walking in near silence, they reached a cracked, overgrown road leading deeper into the forest. Serenia stopped, kneeling beside a patch of moss. She pressed her hand into the ground. A soft vibration hummed beneath their feet, and a small silver cube rose from the soil. She picked it up and tucked it inside her coat. "Key," she said, simply. As they continued, Luke's thoughts churned. How much of this was real? Alien warships, Empires, hunters. It sounded like something out of a movie. But the fear in her voice, the way the lights followed them, that was real. Suddenly the silence shattered. A metallic drone, hovering, emerged from the trees ahead, its lens glowing red. Serenia reacted instantly. She raised her hand, and the cube she carried pulsed with light. A beam of energy shot out, hitting the drone. It sparked violently and fell to the ground, lifeless. "They know," she said. "We must move faster." They pushed on, walking until Luke's legs burned. Finally, just before dawn, the forest began to thin and rocky cliffs rose ahead. "We are close," Serenia said, her voice tight but relieved. "The ship sleeps here." Luke glanced back. Far in the distance, between the trees, the faint lights were still moving. The hunters hadn't given up. Mia, though tired, looked up at Serenia. "Is your ship big?" she asked. Serenia's lips curved slightly in what might have been a smile. "Bigger than any human has seen, and once we wake her, no one will dare follow us." They reached a narrow path between two cliffs. Serenia placed the cube against the rock wall. The ground rumbled and a section of stone slid away, revealing a hidden tunnel lit by dim blue lights. Mia's eyes widened. "Whoa!" Luke couldn't speak. He was too stunned. Serenia stepped inside first, her posture straight despite her exhaustion. "Come. Once inside we will be safe. For a time." As they entered the tunnel, Luke felt the air change, cooler and strangely electric. The stone walls gave way to smooth metal, and a low, rhythmic hum surrounded them. Deep inside, a massive door waited, shaped like an arch with glowing patterns. Serenia pressed the cube into a slot, and the door opened with a deep hiss. Beyond it was darkness. But in that darkness, Luke sensed something vast, something alive in its own way. Serenia turned to them, her golden eyes sharp. "Welcome to the heart of my warship." The darkness beyond the great door seemed endless. Luke stepped inside carefully, holding Mia's hand. The air was cool, with a faint metallic scent, and the sound of their footsteps echoed strangely. Small strips of dim blue light ran along the walls, guiding them forward. Serenia walked ahead with slow, steady steps, her head high. "She sleeps," she said softly, as though speaking to someone. "She?" Mia asked. "The ship," Serenia replied. "Her name is Varinth. She's been loyal to me since I first became Empress." As they moved deeper into the tunnel, the space opened into a massive chamber. Luke stopped in awe. Before them was a colossal structure, smooth and dark, with faint lines of blue light tracing its surface. It stretched so far into the shadows that he couldn't see the end. "That's yours?" Luke asked quietly. Serenia nodded. "She is more than metal. She is alive in her way, but she has slept for many years. We must wake her." She approached a circular platform at the base of the ship. Stepping onto it, she placed the small silver cube into a slot in the console. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then, the ground vibrated gently. The blue lines across the ship's hull brightened, one by one, until the entire vessel glowed softly. A deep, resonant voice echoed in the chamber. "Empress Serenia, confirmed. Command authority restored." Luke froze. He had never heard a voice like that. Calm, powerful, and somehow alive. "Varinth," Serenia said, her voice warm for the first time. "Open the bridge!" A ramp extended from the ship's side, touching the platform. Serenia turned to Luke and Mia. "Come, she will keep us safe." They climbed the ramp, entering a wide hallway lined with smooth walls that pulsed faintly with light. The air inside felt fresher, almost charged with energy. Soon they reached the bridge, a large open space filled with strange control panels and curved chairs. A wide window stretched across the front, showing the tunnel beyond. "Wow," Mia whispered, running to one of the seats and touching the glowing symbols on the console. To Luke's surprise, the symbols changed to English letters and numbers. Serenia glanced at him. "Varinth adjusts for each mind. She speaks to you in the way you understand best." "This is unreal," Luke muttered. Suddenly, the voice of the ship spoke again. "Alert! Hostile craft detected. Closing distance." Serenia's expression hardened. "They followed us." Luke's heart began to race. "How close?" "2 minutes from tunnel entrance," the ship replied. Serenia moved quickly to the central console, her fingers gliding across the controls. "Varinth, prepare defensive shields. Seal the tunnel entrance after we leave." The lights across the bridge brightened, and a low hum filled the ship. Mia looked up at her father. "Are we gonna fly?" Luke forced a small smile. "Looks like it." The ship's ramp retracted, and the walls of the chamber began to shift. The ceiling above opened, revealing a hidden launch shaft that stretched upward into darkness. "All hands secure," Varinth announced, though there were only 3 of them aboard. Then, with a sudden rush of force, the ship rose smoothly into the shaft. The darkness gave way to open sky just as the first rays of dawn lit the mountains. The view was breathtaking, until Luke spotted 3 sleek black ships cutting through the clouds toward them. "Enemy lock detected," Varinth said. Serenia's hands moved faster across the controls. "Shields active. Engage evasive pattern. Gamma 7. The warship banked sharply, the horizon tilting outside the window. Beams of red light shot past them, missing by meters. Luke gripped the edge of a chair. "You can outfly them, right?" Serenia gave a faint, confident smile. "This is Varinth. No one outflies her." The ship twisted and dove, the engines roaring. Enemy fire lit the sky, but the warship's shields flared and held. Then, with a flash, Serenia tapped a command, and a burst of brilliant blue energy shot from the ship's underside, striking the lead hunter craft. It exploded in a silent flash of light. Mia gasped. "You got one," but the other 2 enemy ships closed in fast. "Recommend long-range weaponry," Varinth's voice suggested calmly. "Approved," Serenia said. She touched another control, and 2 glowing orbs detached from the warship's sides, streaking toward the enemy. They burst into blinding flashes, and the last 2 hunters vanished from the sky. The bridge fell silent, except for the steady hum of the engines. "Threat eliminated," Varinth reported. Luke exhaled slowly. That was insane. Serenia looked at him. "They will send more. But for now, we are safe. We must leave Earth's skies before the enemy calls reinforcements." "Leave Earth?" Luke asked. "Yes. If we stay, they will find us. And others will suffer because of me," she said firmly. "But in the void, I can protect you both." Mia was still staring out at the clouds. "Can we go to space now?" she asked, her voice full of wonder. Serenia's lips curved into a small smile. "Yes, little one. Now, we go to the stars." The ship angled upward, engines blazing, and the blue of the morning sky deepened to black. Stars appeared all around them, countless and shining. For Luke, it felt unreal. Yesterday, he was a single dad trying to make ends meet. Today, he was leaving Earth aboard an alien warship with his daughter and a runaway empress. He didn't know what waited for them in space, but one thing was certain. Life would never be the same again. Space stretched endlessly beyond the warship's wide window, a sea of stars shimmering in silence. Luke sat in the co-pilot's chair, still trying to believe they had actually left Earth. Mia was on the floor beside him, her eyes wide as she looked at every glowing panel and blinking light. Serenia stood at the center of the bridge, her hands resting on the controls as if she had been born to command them. The soft blue glow of the panels reflected off her silver-toned skin. She seemed stronger now, more alert, as if the ship itself was giving her energy. Varinth's calm voice filled the air. No immediate threats detected. Long-range scans show enemy reinforcements gathering in low orbit near your previous location. Luke leaned forward. They're already looking for us? Of course, Serenia said, without surprise. Once they failed to capture me on the ground, they called for more ships. They will not stop until I am in chains or dead. Mia looked up at her. Why do they want you so bad? You didn't do anything wrong. Serenia's expression softened, slightly, but her voice stayed steady. My uncle betrayed me. He wants my throne, my fleets, my people. He controls the empire now, but he fears me because I have loyal forces still hidden. If I return, I can rally them and take back what was stolen. Luke frowned. And Earth just happened to be where you landed? She nodded. I chose it because your world is not yet part of the galactic trade routes. It is isolated. A place no one would expect me to hide. I underestimated their reach. For a moment, silence filled the bridge. Only the quiet hum of the ship's systems surrounded them. So, what's the plan? Luke asked finally. Serenia turned to him. We head to the fringe sectors, far from the Empire's core worlds. There are allies there, captains who served me before the coup. If we can gather them, we stand a chance. But the journey will be dangerous. Mia smiled. Dangerous sounds kind of fun. Luke gave her a look, half amused and half worried. You have no idea, kiddo. Just then, Varinth's tone shifted. Alert! Multiple warp signatures detected ahead. Serenia's eyes narrowed. Put it on screen. The forward display lit up, showing a cluster of sleek enemy ships blocking their path. Patrol intercept, Varinth reported. 5 Hunter-class vessels, weapons hot. Luke's pulse quickened. They already found us? These are not the same hunters, Serenia said grimly. These are elite interceptors, faster, stronger. Without hesitation, she tapped a series of commands. The warship's shields flared to life, casting a faint blue glow across the bridge. Hold tight, she told them. The first volley of enemy fire streaked toward them, but Varinth twisted sharply, the shots passing harmlessly into the void. Serenia's hands moved across the console in a blur. Beams of blue energy lanced out, striking one of the interceptors and sending it spinning away in flames. Maya clapped in awe. You got another one! But the others regrouped quickly, circling like predators. Recommend evasive maneuver Delta 4, Varinth advised. Serenia nodded, pulling the ship into a sudden dive that made Luke grab the armrests. Enemy fire grazed the shields, making them ripple with light. Shields at 80%, Varinth warned. Return fire, Serenia commanded. The warship's main cannons roared, blasting another interceptor apart, but 3 remained, and they were closing fast. Suddenly, Varinth's voice changed, almost urgent. Energy spike detected, enemy ships preparing overload strike. Luke looked at Serenia. Overload strike. A weapon that drains shields instantly, she explained quickly. If they hit us, we'll be exposed. Before Luke could respond, Mia stepped forward. What if you make them miss? Serenia glanced at her, a flash of something like pride in her eyes. Explain. Mia pointed to a glowing tactical display. If you turn this way and then go up, they'll shoot where we were, not where we are. Serenia actually smiled. Clever. She followed the suggestion, pulling the ship into a sharp roll and sudden climb. The enemy's overload blasts streaked past harmlessly into open space. Now, Serenia said sharply, unleashing a spread of glowing orbs from the warship's sides. They homed in on the interceptors, detonating in bright flashes that lit the stars. All targets destroyed, Varinth confirmed. Luke let out a breath he hadn't realized he was holding. Remind me never to doubt either of you again. Serenia glanced at Mia. You have a mind for battle. Perhaps the ship likes you. Mia grinned. I like her too. The tension on the bridge eased slightly as Varanth resumed a steady course toward deep space. Serenia turned to Luke. You see now why I cannot do this alone. Both of you. You are part of this now. Luke hesitated. I just wanted to keep my daughter safe. Now we're fighting in an alien war. Safety, Serenia said softly. Sometimes comes only when you stand and fight. Luke looked out at the stars, the weight of her words settling over him. He didn't know what lay ahead, but he could feel it. This journey was only beginning. The stars outside stretched into long streams as Varanth slipped into faster-than-light travel. The bridge was calm, but Luke could sense the tension in Serenia's posture. She stood near the main display, her hands clasped behind her back, eyes locked on the navigation data. Mia was in the co-pilot's chair, happily learning the names of the different ship systems. Varanth's soft, steady voice answered her questions as if she were an important crew member. Luke stepped closer to Serenia. Where exactly are we going? She glanced at him briefly. To the Nibari Rim. There is an old outpost there hidden among asteroid fields. My most trusted captains know the coordinates. If they survived the purge, they will be waiting. And if they didn't? Luke asked quietly. Serenia's golden eyes hardened. Then the Empire's grip is stronger than I feared. Hours passed in quiet travel until Varanth spoke. Approaching the Nibari Rim. Scanning for friendly signals. The forward display changed, showing a cluster of jagged asteroids slowly tumbling in the blackness. Tucked between them, faint glimmers of metal caught the light of a distant sun. Serenia's voice softened slightly. There they are. As they drew closer, the shapes became clear. 3 warships, smaller than Varanth, but heavily armed, waiting in formation. A transmission came through, and a familiar, deep voice filled the bridge. Empress, you live, Serenia allowed herself, a small smile. Captain Darvos, I knew you would not fall easily. Not for lack of trying by your enemies, Darvos replied. We held this post, waiting for your return. The others will be glad to see you. As they docked with the outpost, Luke was struck by the size of the place. It was carved into the largest asteroid, its hangar lit by dim golden light. Ships and crew moved with quiet efficiency. When they stepped off the ramp, a group of alien soldiers in dark armor knelt before Serenia, pressing their fists to their chests. Darvos, a tall, broad-shouldered alien with deep blue skin, stepped forward. We heard rumors you were dead, he said. And then, rumors you had taken refuge on a primitive world. His gaze shifted to Luke and Mia. It seems the second rumor was true. These are my allies, Serenia said firmly. Without them, I would not be here. Darvos studied Luke for a moment, then gave a respectful nod. Then they are welcome among us. Over the next few hours, Serenia met with her captains in a private chamber. Luke and Mia were given a small room to rest in, though Mia insisted on exploring the outpost's corridors. Luke sat on the edge of the bed, running a hand over his face. This is insane, he muttered. Yesterday I was fixing the kitchen sink. Now I'm in an asteroid base surrounded by alien soldiers. Mia grinned. It's awesome. I think Serenia really likes us, and Varanth likes me a lot. Before Luke could reply, the door slid open and Serenia entered. Her expression was calm, but there was a shadow in her eyes. We have a problem, she said quietly. One of my captains betrayed us. Luke frowned. What do you mean? The enemy knew too much about my movements. One of the ships here is sending information to the Empire, she explained. If we stay, they will know exactly where we are. Mia's excitement faded. So we can't trust everyone? Trust must be earned, Serenia said. Darvos believes the traitor will try to sabotage Varanth before we leave. Luke stood. Then we can't just wait for that to happen, Serenia nodded. We will set a trap. That night, the hangar was quiet except for the faint hum of the docking clamps. Luke, Serenia, and Darvos moved quietly through the shadows, watching the entrance to Varanth. Mia stayed on the bridge with Varanth's systems monitoring the hangar. Minutes passed. Then a lone figure slipped toward the ship, moving with quick, silent steps. Mia's voice came softly over the comm. He's trying to get into the engine. Room! Serenia moved fast, her coat swirling behind her. She and Darvos blocked the intruder's path. The figure froze, then reached for a small device. But Luke was already there, grabbing his arm and forcing him back. The device clattered to the floor, blinking red. Darvos stomped on it, crushing it before it could activate. The traitor, a thin alien with pale green skin, glared at them. You can't stop the Empire. They will find you. Serenia's voice was like ice. Not today. Darvos had the traitor taken away, and repairs to security systems began immediately. Later, back on the bridge, Serenia turned to Luke and Mia. You have both risked much for me. I cannot promise the road ahead will be easy, but I promise we will face it together. Luke looked at her for a moment, then nodded. We're already in this. Might as well see it through. Mia grinned. And maybe blow up some more bad guys. Serenia almost smiled. Yes, little one. Maybe we will. Varanth's engines powered up, the deep hum filling the air. Outside, the stars awaited, and the next step of their journey loomed ahead. The fleet was ready. Rows of warships hovered silently in space, their engines glowing softly as they waited for the command to move. Serenia stood on the bridge of Varanth, her eyes sharp and steady. Luke and Mia were beside her, the small family united by fate and battle. This is it, Serenia said. The time to reclaim what was stolen. Luke looked at the vast fleet, outside the window. It's bigger than anything I imagined. Mia, sitting in a captain's chair, smiled brightly. We're going to win, right? Serenia placed a gentle hand on Mia's shoulder. We will, but only if we stand together. The enemy fleet was massive, waiting near the Empire's capital. Serenia's forces were outnumbered, but their ships were faster, smarter, and their crews loyal to her. Varanth's voice filled the bridge. Enemy fleet detected. Weapons ready. Battle stations. Serenia took a deep breath. All hands, prepare to engage. Luke, Mia, stay close. The warship vibrated as it powered up. Outside, laser beams and missiles began to light up. The darkness. The first shots came fast. Enemy ships fired glowing bolts that streaked through space, but Varanth's shields flared brightly, absorbing the damage. Return fire, Serenia commanded. The warship's cannons roared, firing precise blasts that tore through enemy hulls. Mia's eyes widened with excitement as she watched the battle unfold. Luke held her hand tightly. This is real. We're in a war. Serenia's face was calm, but fierce. For my empire, for my people. Varanth twisted and turned through space, dodging attacks and striking back hard. The battle raged around them, a dance of light and power. Suddenly, alarms blared. Enemy flagship approaching, Varanth warned. Serenia's eyes narrowed. The traitor's ship! The enemy flagship was huge and heavily armed, its weapons glowing red. It fired a massive beam aimed directly at Varanth. Shields at 50%, Varanth reported. Luke gripped the console. Can you hold? I must, Serenia said. Prepare countermeasures. She tapped controls quickly. The warship launched a swarm of drones that raced toward the flagship, exploding near its engines. The flagship shuddered but kept coming. Mia, help me with the targeting. Serenia said. Mia moved to a console, her small fingers flying over controls. Target locked, Serenia fired the main cannon. A bright blast hit the flagship's weak spot, causing a chain reaction. The flagship exploded in a burst of fire and debris. The enemy fleet faltered, their lines breaking. "Now," Serenia said, voice steady. "All ships advance!" Her fleet surged forward, striking the enemy from all sides. One by one, enemy ships fell. Luke looked at Serenia with new respect. "You really are a leader," she smiled briefly. "And you are brave to fight beside me." After hours of battle, the enemy fleet was defeated. Serenia's forces surrounded the capital world. "Prepare for landing," she ordered. As the ships descended, the planet below showed signs of damage but also hope. Serenia knew this was only the beginning. Luke and Mia stood beside her as the landing craft touched down. Troops poured out, cheering for their empress. Serenia raised her voice. "Today, we take back our home!" the crowd roared. Luke pulled Mia close. "We made it." Mia looked up at him, eyes shining. "This is just the start, isn't it?" Serenia nodded. "A new future for all of us." Together they walked forward, ready to face whatever came next. The capital planet buzzed with energy. After the fierce battle, the people who had suffered under the traitors' rule were finally free. Serenia walked among the crowd with Luke and Mia close behind. Everywhere, faces showed hope and relief. The empire she once led was waking again. Serenia knew the fight was not over. Her uncle, the traitor, still held power in other worlds. The battle for the empire would be long, but today was a day to rebuild and gather strength. In the grand hall of the palace, Serenia stood before her loyal captains and commanders. Her voice was strong. "We will rebuild our forces, restore peace, and root out the traitors." Luke watched her. He could see the weight of leadership on her shoulders, but also the fire in her eyes. She was no longer just the woman he found injured in his basement. She was a true empress. Mia tugged at Luke's sleeve. "Daddy, can I see the stars again? Soon?" Luke smiled and looked at Serenia. "I think that will be soon." That night, Serenia sat with Luke and Mia in a quiet room of the palace. She told stories of distant galaxies, strange creatures, and brave warriors. Mia listened wide-eyed, imagining the stars she hoped to visit one day. Suddenly, a message arrived from a hidden fleet. Serenia's face tightened. "They have found another outpost," she said. "The traitors' forces are moving quickly." Luke stood up. "What do we do?" Serenia looked at both of them. "We prepare. The war is far from over." Days later, the fleet gathered again. This time, the enemy was stronger and more desperate. Serenia led her ships with skill and courage. Luke and Mia fought beside her, their bond growing stronger with every battle. The space around the empire shook with explosions and flashing light. Ships collided, weapons fired, and the future of the galaxy hung in the balance. Through it all, Serenia never lost hope. She fought not just for her throne, but for the people who believed in her and the family she had found. As the final battle drew near, Serenia turned to Luke and Mia. "No matter what happens, we face it together." Luke nodded. "Always." Mia smiled. "Let's show them what we've got." The stars awaited, and with courage and unity they would fight to bring peace to their galaxy.